Welcome back, YouTube. So I wanted to do an update on the price action and go over the what we can expect going forward. As you can tell by the title, this is a video covering what happens now, what happens in this part of um, the the run, really, because this is the best part. This is the meat of the run. This is where things get interesting. This is where the all-time highs come in. This is where the FOMO comes in. This is where the extreme volatility comes in, all that good stuff, all the fun that you've been waiting for. This is on the other side of having. This is that section here. This is the section where things get really interesting and things really just start to pick up. Now, it's not an immediate effect, but you'll see this over the course of time. Even if you look at history, we'll take a look briefly here in the charts. Over the course of history, you'll see that that incline before we have that parabolic movement. So if you've been here since Bitcoin's last halving, or if you've been in Dogecoin since 2020, you're waiting on that cusp of the actual run. Well, congratulations, you've now made it a full cycle. And for those of you that got in 2021, your anniversary is coming soon. So let's take a look here at price action for Doge. Obviously, this is an uptrend that we're seeing here in this area. I'll put this marker here. This is a bullish uptrend. Excuse me. We'll see where this closes, but ultimately, if you watch my last few videos, I was saying that if you're able to catch it below this zone here, below 15, you'll do well, because historically, that's something that gets filled within 24 to 48 hours. And that's holding very true here. These pivot points where these zones of liquidities, this is where the money is going to be made, as far as for being able to have a quick turnaround and having that volatility to the upside. Because you'll see a big push down here. And we've seen this, I think I counted it last time, it's like 11 times where it was pushed down into this zone and then it recovers immediately. So what that is telling us is that the market doesn't want to price Dogecoin in below 15. So you'll see it temporarily throughout the day, but we don't typically close in that range. So that's what I meant by, if you're able to catch it there, just kind of understand that historically speaking, and for this trend, we do not close in that range. So if you're able to catch it down below there, if it's a flash crash, like if we wake up tomorrow and Doge is 12 cents, just know that historically it doesn't close in that range. So that means that you have hours before it pushes up. And in a nutshell, in a most simplified version, what that means is people are buying the dip, and people are believe that Dogecoin is undervalued at that price. So they come in aggressively, and that's how we get these long wicks in the candle area. So if we take a look here at shorts before we go to BTC, I want to cover that. We'll see that the shorts are picking up because they're trying to get Doge below that 15-cent mark. They've been trying it for the last couple of days, unsuccessful so far. And this is typically what they do before they get spanked. We'll see a record number of shorts, and they'll come in very aggressively, normally 2-3 days in a row, and then they get killed, and you'll see candles like this here. So now of this this run, because we have the halving here and they're trying to get it down, this is the highest amount of shorts we've had since we've had this year, really, the amount of shorts that we have in Doge. We haven't seen shorts this high since, I want to say, on the green side, since October, really. So this is this is the high for shorts this run here. So we'll see how this plans out, but typically what they're counting on is another pull down after the halving, because it's happened a couple of times. We will see a slight sell off again after the halving, or maybe it's a macro news event and they're hoping to capitalize off of that. But overall, this is not a long-term position for them. This is not a position where they're like, oh, Doge is going to 8 cent or 10 cents. So like some of the things I've seen in the comment section, historically, that's just proven to be false. And we're getting, as I just shown you on the chart, Doge is being very aggressive here in that 15-cent range. And we have many levels of support before we get to any of those lower levels. Same thing for Bitcoin. Being very aggressive here. It looks like we're not going to get that 58 that I was talking about. And a good indicator for whether or not we're going to have some more liquidity to the downside is if Bitcoin doesn't bounce off of that 58 mark and we go below it. then that can open up a potential another zone below where we are now. But as long as we're trending up or bouncing off of the 58, then that sell-off is just simply not going to happen. We are right now, we're pretty much cruising along the 72-day moving average, headed up to the 14. So this is good. Again, it's Doge just mirroring this trend. It's looking, I'm gonna put it here so you can kind of see. It's looking good. Like, again, this is certainly a bullish uptrend. So the liquidity is coming into the market. It's pricing in. Now, a lot of it's probably news around the halving, so you can kind of get people kind of coming in there, getting those last positions. And that's another thing I mentioned in my last video is if you purchase these assets, especially around a Doge or a Bitcoin prior to the halving, they have returned a profit of multiple X 100% of the time since their creation, right? That has never not happened. So if you got in prior to having, consider yourself fortunate and lucky here, because historically speaking, it has returned multiple X's 100% of the time. So that is, and we don't have any reason to expect a divergence this time, because we have the stage is set for more liquidity coming into the market. The stage is set for more investors coming into the market. The stage is set for more utility coming into the market. So the stage is set basically for this to be the best bull run that we've seen ever in crypto. So that's one of the things that I'm certainly excited about going forward. So it's not anything right now to be sad about or to be concerned. Let's see. I'm going to take a look here at coin market cap just to kind of see how things are faring overall. Let me get this thing kind of pulled up here. So let's see. Doge is number 8. We were briefly number 9. But Doge has regained its position here above Toncoin. Cardano's holding on to number 10. We'll see. I do believe it's going to be out of number 10 relatively soon. I think Shiba is probably going to jump Cardano. I think Cardano's, I'm not going to say finished, but I definitely think it's going to fall out of the top 10 here. The interesting thing here is XRP is because USDC has, and it's a stable coin, but pretty much I guess XRP has come down in such a way that XRP is now, USDC is now above it, because we are positioning ourselves here for like the next major uptick to potentially jump XRP if they don't get enough money, revenue coming in. Because right now in the 7-day percentage, they're still up. We are red across the board here, and we're still holding on number 8. So they're getting shifted around here. USDC's the stabilization certainly is helping. So I think that I'm not even going to say I think, I'm almost certain that we're going to, I expect the XRP to get some capital. Don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting this to be the best of XRP during this bull run, but I am fairly certain that we're going to jump XRP in this run here. So I think we're going to be somewhere in the top 5. I'm not sure yet based off of how much liquidity is going to come into some of these other coins, but I definitely feel we're going to jump XRP and USDC. So we're in the top 5. We're going to end up, I'm not sure just yet, but just based off of capital allocation. But I do believe that Doge is going to be a top 5 coin this run. So overall, we're seeing a trend here and this is what I meant by divergence. If you take a look here on the right side of the screen, and I'm saying, hey, as long as there isn't any divergence, there's nothing to worry about because the capital is still flowing into the market. What that means is we are charting similar patterns. So if you take a look here at Cardano, very similar. Take a look here at Doge, very similar. Even though it's technically red, but the pattern is the same. And just kind of keep that in mind here as I want to, go back. As I always want to point out to everyone, especially the new investors, that's not a coincidence. Retail isn't waking up 3 o'clock in the morning and coordinating this, whether this sells off or whether there's capital that goes into there. This is institutional money, and as long as this is trending together, you'll see that uptick together. So BNB, Ethereum, and obviously Bitcoin They're still adjusting their portfolios. Typically, how this works is percentages. So as the market swings, as we get news and all kinds of stuff based off of like the Middle East and stuff, they'll have percentages of their exposure that they want in Bitcoin, that they want in Ethereum, that they want in Dogecoin. And based off of their targets and their goals, those percentages will adjust from time to time. So sometimes they'll say, hey, we're underexposed, and they'll buy more. And you'll see a trend where these charts all match it identically, and they'll pump and they'll say, hey, we're overexposed. We don't like this here. This seems to be bad news. And then they'll all sell off simultaneously. So we're coming into that point where we get to we start inching toward greed. And when we get toward a parabolic movement in the market, typically that's like extreme greed. And that's when you have the people that were ignoring crypto, or the people that said that, it wasn't going to run, or that they thought the coins were dead. It just starts being promoted on the news and all that kind of good stuff. And people start to see the money, and it starts to look like easy money. And then that's when you start getting, everybody starts investing, and then you start just getting these layers and layers of funds just coming in. And then it's just, instead of like the volatility, just the buying pressure is just overwhelming. And then you just start getting like these the God candles. So that's typically how the cycle plays out and how this momentum. But overall, I think that we are doing absolutely fine. We are trending. We're holding our position. We've held it through the entire bear market, holding on now. So this is very good for the longevity and the strength of the coin. So I think that is very important to just kind of consider where we are. I'll take a look here at funding. Let's see, liquidations are about even. Long liquidations 1.8, shorts 1.3. Nothing exciting going on there. Long positions, long still coming in. So, and people ask, what's the telltale signs of when this is going to flip? Now, most of this is obviously options taken out. So when we start getting into the around peak of bull run, or start inching toward the major sell-off here, these numbers will flip, right? This is when consumer confidence is no longer they no longer believe that the market is bullish. So what we're going to see here is short volume is going to be astronomically higher than the long volume, right? This is the point where people are saying, even though I'm not necessarily going to buy the asset, even when it comes to contracts for a future date, I don't believe this is going to go up, right? I believe that this is done. I believe we're kind of around peak, and you'll see these numbers shoot up, and then they will dominate the shorts, and possibly even be, it'll start to inch to around like 50%. And then that'll be really like a tell there saying, hey, we're either at the top or very close. And then anything over that, then you can expect there to be some major sell-offs, and we're headed toward that bear market consolidation. So that's one of the things that we'll be monitoring here. But again, this cycle overall is around 18 months. And we do have some outlying factors here, whether that be the ETFs, the futures, integration into X. There's a lot of things that can cause some major pumps here, and even give some false flags on this as far as for sell-offs, because around that time, let's say if Elon comes out in August and says, hey, we're ready to do X payments, and then we get that big pump, we'll see a big spike in shorts, because they're simply trading the news, but that does not mean that the run in itself is over. So you have to kind of consider all things when you're looking at it, because sometimes it can kind of give you like a red flag or a false panic flag, and have you thinking it's over and it's not. Open interest, 784. Again, we've been going sideways for like the past few weeks. Nothing major here. We'll start to see some bigger pickups here once we get around that 2 billion mark. Really like around that 1.5 billion. That's when we were having those consistent retests around that 18 to 22 range. So when we start picking up there, roughly around another billion and open interest, then we should be picking up around that range to do those retests. But overall, again, for Bitcoin, we'd have to consider 58,000 or below before we start talking about a major sell-off. So right now, we're still in technically an uptrend based off of the charts that we've just seen here. We have Bitcoin hovering around like 60 and Doge around 15, around those pivot points. So ultimately, this is where things kind of start inching up, right? And I'll do this. Let's go back to coin market cap so I can show you before we conclude here. I'm just going to go back. So for Bitcoin, if we're talking about the halving here, 2020, we'll say what does it look like before we get to parabolic movement? And it's just steady movement, but it's increasing, but it's not, you don't know when that explosion is until it actually happens. There we go. Took long enough, right? Okay. So we're talking about 2020, right? So let's say we had this sell off here. This is the big dip down to 6,000 around the halving. And then we had the increase here. But again, this is a steady increase. It's, we're going up a few $1,000 and sideways movement, and pump up another 2,000-3,000 and a dip. And then we had the explosive movement here. Now, mind you, the period that I just jumped over was about 6 months, right? So it's not okay. Bitcoin halving was yesterday, so tomorrow we wake up and it's $250,000 and Doge is $1. It's a consistent period where it increases here. This is why I was saying that allocation and coin count, especially around these numbers, are very good, because you'll see the consistency as far as for like it upticking, but the sell-offs are not as aggressive as they are prior to halving, and certainly not as aggressive as they are in the bear market. So you just start to see that consistent wave of increases coming in. And if we can take a look here for Doge and compare it. And really, this is more, Doge is going to align more into the 2016 run than the 2021 because the major exposure kind of happened toward the end of the market overall. But that is not to say that Doge was not reacting, because it has reacted prior to both, prior to the 2021 and even the Elon and the bull run here. So if you look at 2020, you'll see, let me see, I can't zoom in a little bit. Okay. So what is this around halving? So you'll see total volume was, around 109 million for a 24-hour period, 0.002013. And again, you'll see here, if you take a look down here, this is a steady increase. I don't want what that box to be at, but it's still prior to Elon and prior to Twitter and all that kind of stuff. You can see they're still getting funding as far as capital allocation here. And even here at the peak, it more than doubled. This is like 100% of the total volume that it was just 2 or 3 months early. And even then, it's still a steady increase. Then obviously, we know what happened in 2021, right? So it's not just you're not going to get this type of movement initially, but the positioning that you're in, because no one can time that, right? And we don't know what sets that off, because like I said, it could be, August, it could be next month. And what you don't want to be is in a position where you're trying to, time it. It's just like selling. You don't want to be in a position where you're trying to time it. You want to already have your numbers worked out. Same thing on the bullish side. You want to already have your numbers worked out. So this is really the meat of the run here, where things really get interesting and things really just start taking off. So wanted to give you guys that update. We have a few big updates, and I have a very important video that's going to be coming out soon that I've been putting a lot of time into. So that's why I haven't been uploading every day. This video it's going to be in several parts, different areas, but I think the video is certainly going to be worth a watch. So just kind of stay tuned for that. So with that being said, if you found value, please consider subscribing. We're going to beat Bitcoin to 100,000 by getting 100,000 subscribers first. So if you can help with that, I certainly appreciate it. Leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next video.